Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to jump into something pretty unique. You've brought us a collection of fictional texts.
That's right. They paint this picture of a mythical world deep in conflict, but also seeing some really profound changes.
Yeah, so our mission basically is to pull out what these stories tell us about power, leadership, how societies kind of shift after major upheaval.
And the sources are vivid narrative, dialogue, even internal thoughts.
Exactly. We're talking warring factions, the Krizari, dragons, Phoenixes, Leviathans, and this massive conquered population, like 8 billion.
8 billion, yeah.
Oh.
And right in the middle, there's this leader who's going through a huge personal transformation. It's quite the setup.
It really is. So the initial hook is definitely these factions, this huge population, and, well, this leader's journey. Where do we even start?
Well, the battle scenes themselves are pretty arresting. They're described in almost dreamlike ways.
You mean the dragons bending gravity, phoenixes with fire, leviathans using water and ice?
Precisely. It's intense. But then there's this almost accidental element, this character, Joe.
Oh, right, the figurette.
Yeah.
His movements are described as sort of disorienting.
Yeah, chaotic even. But they inadvertently open things up for his allies. That kind of highlights how unpredictable conflict can be, you know. Influence isn't always direct.
That's a great point. And then you have the Krizari military structure laid out.
The amplifiers, the conjurers, their long blades, energy blasts. It feels very organized, maybe even a bit technological.
Compared to the others, definitely. It contrasts sharply with the inherent elemental stuff from the dragons, phoenixes, and leviathans.
It really does. It suggests different approaches to power organized force versus, let's say, innate ability.
Okay, so let's pivot to Ray, the Krizari prince. His transformation seems central to everything.
Absolutely. He starts developing this empathetic reading ability and showing restraint, strategic thinking. It's just not what you'd expect from a Krizari based on the descriptions.
Right, like his interactions with Saul, the captured Phoenix princess. He treats her with respect. That seems like a major deviation.
A huge deviation from what's described as typical Krizari protocol for prisoners. It tells you his whole perspective is shifting, not just his abilities.
And this intercaval combatant mission.
Yeah.
Moving away from just raw power.
Yeah, towards precision, evasion. It apparently baffles his own troops. You get these hints of whispers, rumors spreading among the Krizari ranks.
How does that sit with the established leadership, his family?
Well, it seems to contrast sharply with his father's focus, which is all about expansion. His mother seems more concerned, maybe sensing the danger in him changing so much.
Well, it's creating internal tension as well.
Definitely. It raises that question. Can a leader really break from their society's core values, especially one built on conquest?
And then he inherits the scarred lands, this totally devastated territory.
Right. And instead of, just ruling with an iron fist, he has this vision for a new society, bringing all the races together.
Which brings us back to the 8 billion liberated captives. The sheer logistics of that must be immense.
Oh, absolutely. It's a staggering challenge. But he starts gathering advisors, doesn't he? Key figures from each race.
Yeah, Lyra, Arthur from the Krizari, Nasia the Leviathan, Kale the Dragon, and Saul the Phoenix Princess herself.
And they're skeptical at first, which makes sense. But they seem to slowly start engaging with his, pretty radical vision.
What seems key is his plan for a mass assessment, figuring out individual skills across all these different peoples.
Exactly. Recognizing unique strengths as, the foundation for rebuilding. It's a total shift from the Krizari just dominating.
His speech, then, offering partnership, becomes this really pivotal moment. He's saying, your unique abilities are valuable.
A complete turnaround. And that sets the scene for actually trying to build something in this wasteland, the scarred lands.
The descriptions of the place itself, ash, broken rock, really drive home the loss.
For sure. But then you see the very first steps. These advisors starting to work together. Arthur clearing land, Kale looking for water.
Nasia handling logistics, Lyra on defense, and Saul. She seems to sense the history, the potential maybe, in the land itself.
A powerful image. Collaboration starting literally from the ground up. And then that system notification appears, right? The roots of a new era mission.
Yeah, laying out the basic needs. Shelter, defense, water, the absolute fundamentals of starting over.
It marks the very beginning of that long road.
So, wrapping this part up, the main thing to take away here is how these sources show a world really wrestling with war's aftermath.
Right. You've got old power structures being challenged by this leader's personal change and his, frankly, unexpected vision for cooperation.
You see that tension clearly. brute force versus strategy, dominance versus collaboration,
Wow.
and the huge complexities of leading such a diverse group.
And maybe a little bit of hope that new beginnings are possible even when things look completely destroyed.
Definitely. It gives us a lot to think about.
Which leads to a final thought for everyone listening. How much can individual change, just one person shifting their perspective, really disrupt the status quo? Can it open up possibilities even when things seem, well, completely hopeless? What does it actually take to rebuild after everything's been torn down, and how vital is seeing and valuing the different strengths everyone brings to the table in that process?